Oh man, tell my camera like is off kilter or something. You can see like the back of my fan, which normally you don't see. Half my problem fixed. That's what happens when you have a bunch of time off, then you end up working till like the last second. Don't have time to check anything. So hopefully, like audio and video are okay. They're synced. It's not like all wonky. Um, yeah, man. Welcome to 2024. I had my like first day back at work today, and I was like a little paranoid because a bunch of meetings got moved to today that normally happen on Monday. And the last time we had like a Monday off, for I think it was like Labor Day or whatever, we didn't move all the meetings. We just didn't care. Uh, they moved them all this time, and usually when they do that, it's like we have something important, some crazy change or whatever we need to announce. Thankfully, none of that happened because that would have been really stressful. Like day one, come back, it's like we're gonna do all this stuff different. So none of that, thankfully. Leo, I still see that tank without any fish. I don't like that. Talking about, man, it's perfect. I can't. Nothing can go wrong right now in this tank. Yeah. So let me talk briefly, kind of on topic. So during my week off, I had a good New Year, had a good Christmas, all those kind of things. Got a little bit of a crud from my nieces and nephews, but nothing too bad. I just was kind of stuffy and felt really just blah for like 2 days, and then I was good, which is nice because I had a lot of stuff to get taken care of. So let me think here. What all got done? I tore down. I tore down the. I used to have that 29-gallon downstairs in the same tank or same room that the retirement tank is. That's gone. Other stuff has moved in there now, and that's going to be for non-fish stuff. So there will be some non-fish stuff that I will do, kind of intermittent. I'm not sure what kind of cadence it'll be. Fish will still be the priority. Don't worry about that. You'll still have weekly fish videos and, in theory, live streams. That could change, but we'll see. I don't intend to stop. We'll put it that way. But it might be. I'm gonna do a bunch of different polls this year, and I just want to get feedback and input from you folks because you guys get to make those decisions and that kind of stuff and guide the content you want to see, right? So if if the majority of people want something different, then we'll make some changes. Is what that comes down to. But I don't foresee it. Like I think there's a really dedicated group of folks that like the live streams, so I don't see that changing. It changed up a little more that I didn't like check everything before I started streaming because I was working up until basically 6 on the nose. Uh, I was in a meeting. Anyway, okay, so there's that. If you guys don't remember, between the two like racks in the kind of like the warm room or the room that has the most of my tanks, where the Guppy Mansion is, where I did the aquascape with my wife for Flooded Forest. Yeah, I hear you whining, puppy. Where the Running River tank is. Between those two racks, there was like this 29-gallon acrylic that I emptied a while ago, and that tank's been gone for a while with an open space, right? I was trying to decide what I wanted to do. That whole like cabinet that was sitting there is gone, and something very different is in its place. Now, if you're a member and you're on the Discord, you know it's on the way. They get a little bit of a sneak peek, but so that's where a new aquascape tank is going to end up. But to like the full extent of how crazy that will be, you'll see soon. So I did a bunch of stuff, moving things around, moving some furniture, kind of reorganizing parts of that room too, because between doing all the different filter series stuff and a few other things, I kind of let that room get like a complete disaster. It's just like extra stuff kind of all over the place that should be in like more proper storage. So I went through and like did a lot of reorganizing, putting stuff in storage, storage big quotation marks, but like other areas of the house where some storage space is that keeps it all kind of out of the way. It's not a ton of that, mostly in my garage. What little space there is to do things. But yeah, I've got another tank that's got to come in. It's currently drying out, so that I can then get substrate in it. The tank that sits below the angelfish, so that used to have, like, way back when, that's where the Shelley colony used to be. And that's at one time where the Centoniensis were, until the, like, heat wave of death made me lose a bunch of them. That tank has been empty for a little bit. Right now, well, not right now, but like over the last week, I was working a little bit with brother-in-law James, so he's made some decisions because he's going to aquascape that tank. So pretty soon we'll actually like let him start putting aquascaping hardscape stuff in the tank. And for that one, like I'm not gonna film the process of putting all the hardscape in, because I don't want him to feel pressured to like do stuff quickly, if that makes sense. I want him to have time to just like have a tank with substrate and just play with rocks. He wants to do mostly rocks, so I'm gonna let him just play with stone and arrange things and figure out what he wants to do. And what's gonna happen with that tank is 3 of the Leopoldi angelfish are going to move down into that tank. There'll be some other stuff that goes in there eventually too. We'll figure it out, like what we want to put in there. But basically, we're going to leave the pair that has tried to spawn a couple times in the upper tank. And then we're going to like redo parts of that tank to kind of encourage them to breed. So like the plecos that are up there, they're going to get pushed down, or maybe move to other tanks. We'll figure that part out. But basically, no plecos will be in there anymore. There will be a couple like auto singlets, but that's it. And then just the angel pair. We'll still have it planted and stuff, so it looks nice. But the goal is to kind of get some probably breeding cones, I think is what we want to do, and try to encourage those angels to raise babies. So I'll have to do some other small changes to that tank too. Mess with some of the filtration and stuff like that to probably make it a little less. There's actually like reasonable flow in that tank, which is why like over time we've had freshwater sponges do really well and then kind of die back. There's still actually some freshwater sponge in there, and we're going to leave them in there. But with the plecos in there, they're not able to get back to like thriving. So we'll move the plecos with the other angels once that tank is kind of set and ready. So there's 2 angelfish tanks, basically a breeding tank and a more aquascape tank. Realistically, it probably should be like the aquascape tank up top and the breeding tank down below. But yeah, that might be a little tougher. We'll figure it out though. We'll figure it. Maybe we'll repurpose the top tank and aquascape that. But there's a bunch of crypts in that tank that I don't want to disturb because they're very happy and doing really well. I don't want to piss them off. Yeah, so there's that, and then the tank in the middle is going to be my like wife's new thing. So she'll be working on an aquascape in that tank. I've just got to, like I said, it's drying out, so that I can move it in and then fill it with a bunch of aqua soil and get it ready. That's going to be that tank we talked about a while ago. So it'll be kind of an island aquascape. That's what she wants to do with a lot of Java fern. And then we're going to put the Aves Creek bozemanii in there. So you'll have a whole bunch of bozemanii. I've got a local friend who breeds them who's going to hook me up with a bunch of them. And they might start as like much smaller fish, so we might get to watch them grow into their color and all that kind of good jazz. What else is there for 2024? This is like, that room in general is like, it's been a slow project of doing a lot of changes. One of my tanks So that I have a tank in there with Melanitania picta that I like adopted from someone else that were older adults. And I lost the female recently. I had a pair. So I've just a big male and some plecos in this tank, and it's full of like bulbitis. There's an army of bulbitis and Java fern in that tank. Um, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with that tank because it looks fine as it is, but there's just like one rainbow fish and some plecos in there. So clearly we need to do something with that thing and make it a little more interesting. I don't know whether that'll be like whether that big Melanitania picta will move probably to like the 75 long that's in my front room where the dojo loaches are. Um, because I don't want to put him in the retirement tank just in case I pick up another female and want to breed him because we're not sure for sure that there's mycobacterium in the retirement tank, but I saw evidence once and I've lost like a fish out of there in the last like 4 months, but I haven't seen anything else since. So I'm not really sure. But needless to say, I just don't want to take the risk, and he's perfectly healthy. So he'll probably move to that other 75 long. It'll give him a little more swim room. I kind of need to like work that tank too, because it's just like this giant mass of Java fern, and we're going to trim a lot of the Java fern out to use for some of the other tanks, because my wife loves Java fern, and she's going to use a lot of that. So basically, like half, that might be accurate. Like half my tanks are going to get kind of refreshed and or redone from the ground up. Uh, like the Guppy Mansion's not going to get messed with. The retirement tank's going to get some extra plants in it, but nothing too crazy. What is a 75 long? So, it's a 75 gallon tank, but it's designed long. So it's 5 foot long instead of a 4 foot tank. And it's similar dimensions to a 40 breeder, where it's like 16 by 16, but 5 foot long. It's kind of a crazy tank, but it's actually cool. It's not; those aren't its exact dimensions. I think it's something like 17 and a half by like 16 and 3/4 or something like that. I have an acrylic that's in there. It's where the dojo loaches are. For a long time, it was behind me. It's the tank that had tons of Java fern in the background. It's just a big, long tank. It's not super tall, but it's a fairly large tank, which is great for rainbow fish. They like that swim space, and that's where right now the dojo loaches, a bunch of cory cats are in there, and like pleco, and some autocinklus in there too, and like some white clouds. It's a pretty simple, like almost backup mishmash tank, because like if I have fish that are moving out of a tank and I don't want to put them in the retirement tank, they tend to end up in there. Where do you get these weird non-Petco size tanks? I actually got that from my friend Nick, who is he was if you guys remember, a long time ago, I did that super informal talk about plants to a small club called the North Sound Aquarium Society. It's in the northern portion of Washington, so north of Seattle, right? And I actually got that tank from him. He needed a 125, and I had like a spare 125 lying around, all glass, that needed to be resealed. But he basically needed it for creating a quarantine system, and he didn't have any problems resealing it. So he traded me the 75 long because that tank was too small for what he was trying to do. I know, sounds crazy. He needs a 125 gallon quarantine tank, and a 75 gallon was not big enough. I know that sounds crazy, but that's how this man rolls. So he traded me just straight up. So I gave him this big glass tank, helped him move it, and then he gave me this nice kind of neat acrylic tank. And that was back when like my roommate used to live here, like before I was before my now wife had even like moved into the house. That was a while ago. But yeah, it's that tank will have to get some work, and we might do some like For several of these, I'll probably put up little polls and ask you guys things you'd like to see. Now, granted, they're going to be influenced by my taste, right? It's not like I'm going to be like, what fish should I put in here? And it's not going to be rainbow fish, right? I mean, come on. Let's be honest here. But, there might be some things that's like, hey, I'm thinking about either putting wood or rock in this tank. What would you like to see? And then we might like play with it a little bit, those kind of things. So certain tanks, like my wife's doing one more tank and my brother-in-law are going to do a tank. And I'm going to let them make a lot of the decisions when it comes to hardscape and even some of the plant selection. But then probably I'll be the one like planting it as an example, based on what they want done. But there's some other tanks that will be getting some different work. Nano Guy Aquarium, what was he putting in the quarantine? So he was doing, and this is where it should sound crazy because you would think a 75-gallon long is fine, but this is how his brain works. He was doing a bunch of wild-caught discus. Now, you should understand that by the time he was done, he had built in this massive 4-foot by 4-foot by 4-foot cube aquarium into his wall. And that was like the permanent place where his discus lived after they were out of quarantine. So basically, he had that tank slowly getting ready. And because it's so big and he's doing wild-caught discus, he's like super paranoid. He's a discus specialist. And so he used the 125 because he was like, yeah, I'll reseal this on the weekend. It'll be ready a week later. My fish come in 3 weeks. Yeah, he was crazy. he was pretty crazy. That's what he wanted. He knew I had a spare 125 and wanted to trade for it and offered me that tank and I couldn't say no. So that's how that ended up. He's a madman. I haven't talked to him in a while though because he got crazy busy at work. And unfortunately was so busy he couldn't keep doing the aquarium society that he was the president of. And that kind of, no one else stepped up. So that whole like aquarium society kind of just died, which is unfortunate. But yeah, dude has a crazy tank. If I can find a video of it at some point, I might like share it somewhere. He used to put stuff up on like Facebook. Anyway, so yeah, we got tanks in that room. So like basically half my tanks getting upgraded. This will be going away hopefully soon. It kind of depends. I've had other projects that were higher priority for me, frankly, or heavier lifting. And while I had assistance from like brother-in-law James or something like that, it was more important to do those things than this because this I can eventually take care of. Just got to watch out for the dog over there going hog wild and trying to trip me or something. Okay, so after all that, right? So several new tanks. Most of them will have kind of long-term. The fish will be going in there. The intent is there to be in there long-term, and then we'll finish out the filter series. I've got my Matin stuff that was on order, should arrive later this week, and then we can start doing those things. And then there's not too many more filters I want to cover just because we're going to start getting really like niche and really, really far down the line of stuff that people don't use as often. Basically, I want to cover Matin filters, and I want to talk about wet dry filters. And I'm probably going to stop because we're finishing internal canister. I think we've basically covered like most of the major ones. You could do some like, well, what about if you do this combination with that? I'm going to try to avoid stuff like that. I mean, the comments are full of it, but in the sense of like, well, if you hook up your under gravel filter to powered filtration, or you use like the DIY, a power head hooked up to this thing, has some crazy water polisher, etc., etc. I don't want to go too deep in those because that's just, you start like slicing hairs between whether that's just an accelerated this or that, or if it actually is like a filter and not just like a tool to do certain really hyper specialized jobs. So we'll see some like small differences there, but basically for certain Matin, there is one kind of surprise. It's not really a surprise, but methodology, quotation marks around methodology, of filtration that'll be like the finale that we'll talk about. And then we'll go do kind of like a fish room tour. I do have an undergravel filter that I'm setting up with Safety Zorb. Way mentioned that in chat. I'm waiting for weather to warm up enough to be able to rinse all the Safety Zorb because I have several bags of it ready. I just need to get it like well rinsed before I start setting that tank up. But that's the other tank that's going to get set up is an undergravel based filtration system using Safety Zorb that will require some kind of iron powder down in the substrate with a thicker substrate layer. But that'll be a tank for some testing, and then eventually we'll move plants and fish into it. But it'll be no plants to start. So you guys can draw your conclusions, chat, on what's going on there. Draw your conclusions. But many of you know like what the intent is. And I need to do one thing here real fast. Boop. Okay, now we got this done. So, one final thing we'll talk about. I also have some tours I need to get done. There's a couple local places that I want to go tour and do videos of those and kind of tell their story, like I've talked about before. So yeah, I got a lot of stuff. And there's one thing I want to ask you folks. First off, I just for those of you who listened and have been here repeatedly, you probably knew there's a chance that something might be given away tonight. So if you want to potentially win something that, might be this thing right here, because this didn't get claimed. Yeah, come on, focus camera. There you go. Come on. You know you want to. The glare is killing it. Oh, come on. How about now? There we go. Aha! I would put hashtag 2024 in chat if I were you. That'll get you entered for this sweet pin from Lily Ichthyology. If you remember, we did the video interview with Lily. It has a piece of substrate attached to it. But we'll give that one away tonight. And I don't care where you are. I'll ship it anywhere. So, I mean, hopefully it's mostly U.S. people because international shipping gets expensive. But yeah, I said I would ship it anywhere before, so we're going to do it now. Yeah, international. Go for it, Coral. I'm pretty sure I can ship a pin anywhere. It's just a pin. So, all right, I'm gonna cover some of the member chats and stuff that came up, and then we can go into standard Q&A. So your usual app Billy Pasco makes it easy for me to see them. Leo29, am I the only one that bought new fish already? Leo hasn't even made it 2 days into 2024. He's already bought new fish. Leo, man, you're a madman. Zen Ginger, Happy New Year. Thank you, Zen Ginger. Zanny, it's good to see you. Jeff Kane used his to say hi to Matt from OnlyFins. Oinky, do you think the Matten filter is best for shrimp? Well, that's going to come in my Matten filter video, right? No. Yeah. I actually think outside of just generic sponge filters, I think there's a reason why you would choose just a regular sponge filter over a Matten filter. But in general, for those that want to do Matten filters, shrimp are the absolute best case scenario for a Matten filter. They really are. Sponge and Matten filters in general are like perfect for shrimp. They allow a consistent like grazing ground for the shrimp to find small bits of food and things like that otherwise they might not have as ready a source available that's going to continually create like microfauna and things like that. So they're just super good for shrimp. But yeah, they're pretty awesome. And then Only Way, welcome to Auto Singles, buddy. Good to see you. All right, we'll leave this up for like 5 minutes and then we'll draw it. Just making sure this is working correctly. Good, good. We solved the Nightbot problems last time, and they're still functioning. Nabokov fan. Okay, so real question: what is the correct temperature for rainbows for the bigger ones and the pseudomagills? I got someone trying to rehome some and might be able to get them. So I personally think that like 74 to 78 is about right. You can go cooler, you can go hotter. In general, I have found the most success really in that like 74 to 76 range. That's where I tend to find them happiest. But they are a fish that goes through seasons, just not as big a swing. So they get into a hot season, they get into a cooler season, but they tend to be in enough water or fast enough moving water that getting above like 80 to 82 really shortens their lifespan long term if you do it for a long period of time. 74 tends to be like really, really good. 76 is great. 78's fine. And it's kind of the same for the pseudomagills. There's a couple of rainbows that are sort of exceptions, and not really in that they can handle those warmer temperatures, but naturally their environment's a little bit cooler just because they go into like higher mountain elevations. And one of those is like the turquoise rainbow. The turquoise rainbow actually can handle lower temperatures at like 70 74 range better than most of the other rainbows, but that's still like 74 is perfect for them. So I try to target about 74 to 76 in most of my tanks. They can go warmer. They can go a little cooler, but not much. You really don't want to start going under 72. But yeah, typical tropical temperatures work great for them. You just don't want to go like discus level hot or even sometimes like German blue ram hot where you're getting into those like mid 80s. They're not going to like that very much. They can survive for a while. You're just going to really shorten their lifespan by doing that. And with pseudomagills, that means like they burn out in like a year because pseudomagills really only last like 3-ish years. So yeah. Do I get the piece of substrate if I win? I already pulled it off. Sorry, Zenny. Vibes Aquatics. Hey, Vibes, how you doing, buddy? Happy New Year to you as well. Thanks for the super chat, bud. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys all had a really safe and relaxed New Year. Mine was super chill. Me, my wife, and brother-in-law James. We went over to our friend's house, the ones that we helped make the video game with, and we just hung out, chilled out. For those who are newer and don't know from back in that period of time, I actually like helped make a video game at one time. I did a bunch of voice acting for it and some audio engineering. I'll even give you a link to that game. Why not? I don't get any money out of it. I did it all for free and I volunteered. But it's a game called Bots on the Robo Friends. It's actually on sale on Steam for their holiday sale for like $5 now, which is pretty sweet. But I am two of the villains and one of the other like helper partner robots called Fab. And then all of the voices, I did all the audio engineering to make them all from normal people voices into kind of robotic. It was a lot of work. I spent something like probably 2 weeks at about like 3 to 4 hours a night doing audio engineering for that project. Plus all the time like in the booth recording voice lines, and my wife has some voice lines and stuff like that. It was a big project, but I was trying to help my friends with their first major video game, which is pretty fun. Pretty fun. But yeah, it was good. We just all chilled out. We sat and talked about we played some board games. We just talked about like random nonsensical gamer stuff. Basically just nerded out. It was pretty great. We played, for those who've ever played it, a game called Betrayal at House on the Hill. We lost horribly. The traitor won. It went very bad, very fast. Oh, Lord. But it was fun. It was still fun. Okay, let me see here. Make sure I don't have a question. Good. Let's see. Nightbot. Last second. If you didn't get in there. Oh, I gotta allow mods. There's a problem. Hold on. Fish fan link should be eligible. That's better. Fixed problem. Fixed a problem. It wasn't allowing mods to enter. Ah, boy. Yeah, Betrayal's great. I love Betrayal. It's a fun game. It's my wife's favorite board game. Roll it. What is this? Rigged. Rigged. Rigged, I say. Nightbot has selected you, Leo. You know how to get a hold of me. I need your address. Shoot me an email or direct message me. You know how to get a hold of me. You've got the bat phone. Do the thing. Okay. The good news is that's not the only one. This one didn't get claimed. I'm so surprised. So this is the honey blue eye, the Pseudomagil melis. Check that bad boy out, right? It's a really cool, very hard fish to breed. We're going to do a different one for that, so let me clear the eligibility. Bulk. Reset. I'm going to put in a new one. So the honey blue eye. We'll do a hashtag honey. That's in chat. So if you want to win this bad boy, put hashtag honey in chat. Nabokov fan, did the food packets arrive? Yes. Yes, they did. I haven't started using them yet. I've been too busy with all the other stuff around the house, so I didn't pay enough attention, so I just used my normal food mixture. I'll probably start using those this week, next week, something like that, and kind of play around and mess with them. Zen Ginger, I need it. I need it. If you really need a fake one, Zen Ginger, you can go to Lily Ectheology's page and she sells these for, I think it's like $12 or $15, and all the proceeds go to help benefit her project, which is pretty awesome. I donated $100 and took 5 pins, so I paid $20 a pin basically, but I was happy to do so. It's just like, I probably would have done, had I thought about it in like foresight, I should have got more and donated more at the same time. Maybe I'll like order more off of her website and do further stuff in the future. Kingfisher Sketch, hashtag Bentley. That's not going to get you in. Okay, good. It's rolling through. It's good to know. All right, I gotta check on Nightbot. I get paranoid the Nightbot's not working. How is Raph doing in the new digs? Oh, dude. Okay, so for those that don't know, there's kind of like an inside joke in chat where they referred to the last man standing, the SAE that was in this tank as Raph. So Raph is in the retirement tank, and there's like 3 other SAEs in there having a ball. He's got tons of room to swim. He's swimming around the rainbows, getting lots of food. He's got other of his kind to hang out with. They're all bigger than him or her. Not really sure. I don't know how to tell whether they're male or female, but hanging out, zipping around every time I go to feed. Raph is like a rocket ship coming up. Has figured out really fast that like plenty of food goes into that tank because all the other like large torpedo fish that are in there. But doing well. Oh man. Ginger Graves, Happy New Year, Ginger. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. But yeah, he's back with his turtle buddies, of course. Well, one of them is a like traditional SAE and not a reticulated. So there's like 3, including Raph, and the big one. Yeah, usually, Raph in there, as you have nicknamed him, didn't get the chance to get like truly big and chonky, but even some of the males get pretty big and chonky. Aquatic moose. Bentley, what is your favorite fish right now, species or individual? Well, species is like, because technically species gets a little weird, right? I would probably say perpetually, usually my favorite is the Bozemanite rainbow. It's going to be a rainbow fish. Let's be honest here. But, the more and more that I like spend time And this has been for the last few years, honestly. But the more I spend time with the running river rainbows, the more I fall in love with them. They're they're not as flashy color wise as like some of the other like real brightly colored rainbows, but you get like this beautiful kind of gold body with on the males, gold body with black stripes, uh, and then these just incredible reds in the fins. And they're kind of unique because that combination and the way that they're colored, no other rainbow really gets like that. But the big thing with them is their behavior. They're super tight schoolers. They school as tight as like rummy nose tetras. Plus, they have this like phenomenal story, right? You know, they were on the verge of extinction because some chucklehead decided like I'm gonna release my rainbow fish into this body of water, and it was a completely different rainbow fish and started hybridizing, and it just probably multiple, but basically started hybridizing out the rainbows. And it thankfully, in like a regular set of studying that the University of Canberra does in the native habitats of rainbows in several locations, uh, they were able to find it. It's hashtag honey Kelly. You still have some time. This is what you're looking for. Bam, for the honey blue eye, the Pseudomagil melis. It's a good one. It's a good one. Replay crew, if you're still with me, don't worry, I got one for you too. I got one for you too. Replay crew arguably is going to be the best one. But I don't want to confuse folks that are here and they'll put in weird hashtags and we'll be, it'll be a cluster. Hashtag honey for the Melis. We'll talk about how you win the last one shortly. But yeah, I think the more that I see them, just because their behavior is such a tight schooler. That's Omar, good friend. That's to win this beautiful Pseudomagil Melis pen. Boop. The honey blue eye. The honey blue eye. Just because of how tight they school and their general behavior, like they're pretty relaxed, but they stay as this like really tight cluster all the time. And it's so enjoyable to watch because a lot of your rainbows are being like a loose school, right? They more shoalers. But those are just their behavior is so beautiful and I love them so much. And their story's wonderful. You know, like this group of scientists who total super rainbow fish nerds at University of Canberra prevented them from going extinction via hybridization on like $11,000 worth of money. It's almost nothing. They had several fish clubs, my club included, that donated some of the bigger chunks, you know, and a bigger chunk is like $2,000. It's not a lot of money, but they saved this fish. They raised a bunch of them in captivity, made sure they had genetically clean stock, and then released them into a new place further up the river, kind of behind a waterfall to protect them, and a place that's hard to get to, so hopefully no idiot will do this ever again. And they regularly go back and survey them, and you know, they started with something like 1,000 fish, and you know, if you know, in the United States, especially farmed fish, the survival rate is like sub 1%. It's extremely low. So like when we're doing farmed trout or farmed salmon and things like that, and they're being released back into the wild, for, you know, every 100,000 that are released, you'll be lucky if 10,000 survive. And it's usually a lot less. And the only reason I know this is there's a fisheries biologist who's in my club, and he gives me updates like every year. And it will like bring me some of the videos as he's raising up, because he does projects with younger school children to teach them about how important the water system is and native fish and how you don't mix things in there and stuff like that. And by letting them go release some of these fish into the wild and some of the streams and things like that. It's very, very cool thing that he does as a program with some schools and things like that. But if you think about it, like that success rate, that like sub 1% is terrifying. With 1,000 fish, right? 1% or less, it's like we're hoping that 10 fish make it. But in their case, within I think it was 6 months, they had a rough count of about 4,000 fish from the original. I think it was like somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 that got released. So basically, had over doubled. And you know, rainbow fish are prolific breeders, or at least can be. Um, yeah. Cora works. This is correct. Survive to the point of spawning. Yeah, it's just, you know, they get released. They might not be taught as well as like how the rainbow fish were about like what their predators are. So they might not know that that's a predator fish. They get too close and they get gobbled up, and all those kind of things. Right? There's lots of factors, but it's getting to the point of spawning to where the next generation can be created, etc., 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 and try to reestablish those populations in the wild. But yeah, um, it's just their story and a combination of their behavior, their coloration is unique. I really just love that fish a lot. It's there's a reason why if you go back to an old video, I call them the crown jewel of my fish room, because to me they are. They're special. And even if like something as, you know, awesome as the honey blue eye is out there, or some of the other newer rainbows that are like super colorful and really incredible, I'm still gonna love that running river fish. Adam Lash, are you familiar with the Rosario LaCourte strain of Bozeman eye? Yes, I used to own some. Thoughts compared to an Atinjo. So they kind of are an Atinjo and kind of art. Rosario's line gets similar coloration to an Atinjo, with the exception that they are like a lot of other Melanitania, that their coloration is super intense in the morning and then fades throughout the process of the day. Whereas a lot of the true Atinjos that I've had in the past, and true big quotation marks, ones that have come from Gary Lang's line, so we know that they came from original wild fish and just our generation's bred, they, when they reach adulthood, they stay full color all the time. And the only difference is they amp that color up when they're courting females or sparring. Whereas the Rosario line, in my experience at full adults, they'll have great color, but as it goes through the day, kind of like what you'll see in the Melanitania parva, some kind of calls like the sunshine rainbow, they'll just kind of fade out a little bit. But then that next morning, they're super dark coloration, they're beautiful, they're active, they're trying to court. They're a really great fish. And if you can get them, it's a special enough line because Rosario's, he's not really doing much anymore. And he's, you know, he's, I don't want to say this, but we're not far from losing him, right? I mean, he's 90, like 93. He's an old guy. He's an old guy. But it's kind of like you're in a way owning a part of history, a part of like fish history by having those fish. And that's kind of a way to think about it that might make them a little more special than say like a basic Atinjo. You know, where people care about certain breeders' lines, that's where that would matter to me personally. Just my thoughts. My thoughts. I'm a crazy person. You never know. Tony Adams, any advice on where to buy complete sump systems and multiple places to buy Melanitania bozemanii Atinjo? I'm worried about them breeding with other bozemanii, so I just want them. Okay. A completed sump, usually you're not going to find one where it's just like all you do is plug it in and you're done. Now, if you mean like all the baffles are in place and you don't need to like make it out of a tank, there's a number of different acrylic companies that do it. Trigger Systems is probably one of the best, honestly. They make a very high quality product. And actually, I want to check something. And then after this question, we'll give some stuff away. I want to see if they still have this. So there's a trick I can teach you with Trigger. So Trigger has this thing through their website. Because normally with Trigger sumps, you have to buy them through places like Bulk Reef Supply and such. But here's this link. They have their blemished tanks. So things that come down their line and maybe some scuff or something happens to it. And they're not going to go and like fix that blemish, right? They're going to do it. and be done with it. And they'll sell the blemish tanks, and they're full functioning. They're perfectly fine. They just might have like a scuff or something somewhere that makes them not as pretty. But you can get them significantly cheaper. So like as an example, just looking at some of this, there's an Emerald 34, which is close to what I have. I have a Sapphire. The Emerald 34 is normally like $520. You can get one of the blemish ones for $310. And then all you have to do is add your media and you're good to go. They come with the filter socks. There's a blemished Ruby, which is a little different design. It's the more like simplified version. Normally $400, $195. It's basically like half off. Here's the trick though. They even have a Sapphire for sale, a smaller one. Here's the trick though. Sometimes you can contact them about their blemish tanks. And depending on who answers the email, they might ask you, well, which one are you looking for? And you can kind of just go, well, I was looking for a Sapphire 39 if you got one. That's what I did. And they'll just build you one, brand new, and sell it to you at the blemish price. That's what I did. Shh, don't tell nobody. So I immediately tell you all. But sometimes, if they don't have specifically what you're looking for, because like I messaged them, I was like, hey, I'm just curious, are all of your blemish tanks up on the website right now, or do you have some others that haven't been posted yet? And the guy who answered my email was like, which one are you looking for? I was like, well, I'd really like a Sapphire 39 if you've got one. But if you've got the slightly smaller Sapphire, the one that's right down below it, yeah, I'd be interested in that too. And he was like, yeah, I got a Sapphire 39 for you. And I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, that's going to take like a week. I'm like, what do you mean it's going to take a week? They just built one. It's perfect. The one I have downstairs in perfect condition. They just built it. And shipped it. You get that, the price was like shipped. It was incredible. I got it for their blemish price. I saved like $300 or some nonsense on it. It was great. I did brand new Sump. It's never been used for El Cheapo. Comparatively. I know those are expensive. There's also, was it Aqueon? Aqueon makes some like glass sumps too that you can buy. There's a lot of fish stores that have like some leftover ones that are there. And I bet if it's been sitting long enough, you could probably like, especially if you have a good relationship with a local fish store, you might be able to be like, hey man, I noticed this thing's been sitting there for a while. Any way to get that a little cheaper? You never know. Like, maybe be like, yeah, I'm looking to do this, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to buy a bunch of fish or whatever. No, Omar, this was years ago. This is when my channel only had like 1,000, no, it's like 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers. My channel was tiny back then. They had no clue who I was. They had no clue who I was. Pure luck. I'm telling you, man. Sometimes you just gotta ask. Yeah, eShops has some pretty cheap ones too. Yeah, Bulk Resupply has their seamless ones. Aren't those basically just like the same seamless ones that Custom Aquariums uses, right? Because I think they contract out for those things. I'm trying to remember. Sorry, I'm trying to look on their website. Lord, trying to find it. Sometimes like Bulk Resupply's website is absolutely terrible. But they do sell like they sell triggers as an example, Bulk Resupply. So like here's an example, right? A Sapphire, where's the 39? There's the 34, but I have a 39. I want to find it because I want to tell you what like a Bulk Resupply price is. Son of a biscuit. Okay. So at Bulk Resupply, a Sapphire 39 right now is $636.99 US. I bet if I were to dig, I could actually find what I paid for mine. It was. Here we go. Here's my invoice. Including shipping, for my Sapphire 39, I paid $380. Now, granted, this was a few years ago, so they're probably cheaper, but that was in 2019. But if you look, like they have their blemish prices, and it's just standard. Whatever the blemish is, they just have a blemish price versus the standard retail price. And sometimes, if you get lucky, they will just sell you a brand new sump at the blemish price. It's great. uh, why am I not seeing like the seamless sumps on theirs? There aren't they exactly the same as what custom aquariums uses? Because they're still like they're fine. They're just using a simpler system. They work just fine. I wouldn't even stress about them. All right, let's give away this here pin. Last second, I'll give you like a minute extra. So if you want the honey blue eye pin, whoop, that guy. Make sure you put /honey or hashtag honey, geez, in chat. I want to do a sumo, but my stand is separate compartments. Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, I would just... Okay, so... Depending on how your stand is set up, we'll do all sorts of stuff. Wet dry can be really, really good and takes up a lot less space. So you might consider a wet dry sump in your particular case because they take up less space, but they are pretty good. It's rigged. It's rigged. Jeez. Jeez, Leo. No faith. No faith. It's rigged. You won. What are you complaining about? All right. Let's see. Gotta go in here. I'm gonna... Okay, good. Leo's being a good boy and not entering. Oh, all right. Let's find out. Bam. Scott. Oh, he literally just said, like, good luck to everyone, too. Look at that. It says good luck, everyone. Did it, has Nightbot said the thing? Nightbot? All right. Scott Kahala, you're the winner on the hashtag honey. So just, I know you're there because you literally just said good luck to everybody. For you, Scott, need you to shoot me an email. Put my email in chat for you. It's bentley.pasco@gmail.com. Yeah, I don't know why Nightbot's not showing it. I mean, I can... let me check the properties. I'll make sure this is looking correctly. Oh, it's looking at, like, totally the wrong thing. Oh, that's because I'm looking at the wrong thing. Oop. I go over here. Why are you not showing me a preview? Okay, well, it's being done, but Scott, you won. Yeah, shoot me an email. I'll get. I just need your shipping address so I can ship this to you. Yeah. Make sure your name's on it too. I mean, it should be kind of obvious, right? But if that's like a pseudonym, need to make sure I've got the right name to ship to you. But yep, send me that. I'll get it shipped to you. That'll be yours. I'll get it shipped out probably this weekend. Probably this weekend. Nightbot likes to like be dumb. Okay, so for the last one, this won't be in chat. So after the stream is done, when it goes, and you can leave a comment, not chat now. Okay? There's this guy. Ooh, that's the Kalitawa. So for the replay crew, if you're watching this deep, and for all of you actively in chat, after we're done with the stream, just wait like half an hour, go back, leave a comment. Okay. Hashtag Tawa, Tawa. Hashtag this won't be in chat. Maybe it should be that. That would be funny. I'll also accept hashtag won't be in chat. And then I'll wait like till Friday, and I'll draw this thing Friday, so that I can ship all these out at the same time. Hopefully, hashtag not chat now. Oh man, but yeah, that'll be for the replay crew. For everybody who's in chat now, you'll totally be able to win that as well. We'll get it out to you. Thank the people that didn't claim these things in the videos back then, because it gives you guys a second opportunity to win them, right? Oh, man. Okay. Richard Cox, I've seen recent videos of sponge filters in a plastic jar with holes at the bottom actually pulled in a ton of sediment. Works so much better than just a sponge. Interesting. Actually, Richard, if you have a chance, if you got a particular video you saw, I would love if you'd send me a link to that to my email, because I'd love to watch that, because that could be a really interesting experiment for us to do. I'm just curious, like, what all they did to make it right. Yeah, Leo's very good at showing us what not to do. Omar Bentley needs to sell merch because I would buy it. I think I talked about this. I'll talk about it briefly. I have an aversion to selling merch. And let me explain why. I feel like... And maybe that's because when I used to work at radio, merchandise was like things we gave away. Those are things we wanted as like rewards, basically put. So I've kind of always stopped, or chosen not to ever start, maybe is more accurate, thinking about merch as something I like sell to make money. I'll probably eventually do something, because but for me it would be, I want something where I can control the quality. Because like Teespring as an example, any of you that have ordered a t-shirt through Teespring, they suck. Right? It's cool because you can support creators you like. Like, I have t-shirts through Teespring for some of my favorite friends. But like their quality's bad, right? And I also like to do things that aren't necessarily commonly done. Like I did the hats, right? We did the Rainbow Fish hats for Triple Crown. We did the Dojo Loach towels for Fishtoberfest. I didn't do anything for last year because I was out of a job for a while, and then had a giant bill for my dog, and was like, well, there's all my free money. There's all my money I could have used to do those things. I do want a last second poll. I'm going to let you guys, maybe we'll talk about it. But, whoop, whoop, whoop. Start a small poll. Small poll. Okay. So, let's be easy. Whoop. So, after we get through the last of the filter series, there's two different things I want to do. I want to do a new tour of the fish room, but I kind of want to wait a little bit until some of the other tanks get done, right? But if you guys want that first, we'll do that first. There's also like a couple fish stores, including seeing like Redfish, Bluefish, and some of his changes. We haven't seen him in a while. There's like my buddy Will, who does all the plants and stuff. And then there's Peter and his store, Eurofish. Those are a few of the ones. Passing wind. Small poll, that's what she said. So I'm just kind of curious, like, which you guys would prefer to see first, if in a perfect world where I just like had all the time in the world, could get whatever I wanted done first, right? I'm just curious your guys' like snapshot reaction. See, fish room is an important one. But yeah, so bunch of projects in the works. I will eventually probably do. Oh yeah, we could totally. I could totally go to Alex's place. He would not. He would not care. Wait, redfish, bluefish. I want to change my vote. All these things are going to get done. By the way, all of them will get done. It's just which do you want to see first? Yeah, maybe we should tour. Maybe we should tour Alex's fish room first instead of mine. That'd be good. I haven't seen Alex in I think like 3 months, 4 months. But yeah, so I've got the Peter Waiter. No, Peter who owns Eurofish. He's that's a relatively new store that's up here. Jason's gonna synthesize all the tracks. He could, dude. His music room is sweet. His music room is sweet. You should do speed aquascaping for your Saturday series, like MD without an accent. Yeah, except I'm not good at aquascaping. Speed aquascaping with me would be pretty miserable. Zenchiger, he's been on the island the whole time. It's just he moved out of the store he was using and has like a different building that's on his property. So it's pretty cool. He's been doing a lot of work, and there's going to be like I know he talked about doing for those who are in the Northwest doing like a kind of spring-ish pending weather like barbecue hangout where people could just come and check out the new thing. We'd all hang out, just be a bunch of fish nerds with a barbecue and stuff like that. So whenever that happens, that'll get announced and people will talk about it too. But yeah. Omar, I totally agree with you, but I want to represent your channel if one of the very few I share with people. I appreciate it. I think if I was going to do any piece of merch, it would probably be like fish towels because I also like things to be usable, right? So I'd probably try and find something that's like a little like fun fish room towel. Maybe we do something with the guppy because we haven't done the guppy yet, right? For the Blue Hawaiian Moscows. Or maybe another rainbow fish. I don't know. Maybe we put like just Papa Lemo's face on it because it's silly and dumb. Put a corgi on a fish room towel. Or Shantoto because you guys were like so wonderful and helping. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. There's a lot of stuff that I want to do here soon, and just projects in the works. I'm hoping to share lots of fun stuff with you guys. I hope you all had a fantastic end to your 2023 and a fantastic start to your 2024. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching and stay awesome. We'll see you next week. Zen is all for fish towels. Yeah, I'll probably do fish towels. It might be the thing. Maybe we could look at doing pins. Who knows? Take care, folks.